Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Downsized. This is another episode of our interview series that we like to call the Downsized Dish. My name is Christopher Durham, and my wife, Rain, and I have lost 150 plus pounds on GLP-1s over the last 2 years. And we like to talk to people who are on this journey as well, ranging from somebody who still has the shot in their refrigerator and they're too scared to take it to people who have lost several hundred pounds, and everybody in between. Everybody wants to see somebody that looks like them. We always learn something new every time we have an interview. Today, I'm excited to welcome Greg. Greg, welcome to the channel, man.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Very good. So before we jump in, the obligatories, I'm not a doctor. You're not a doctor, right, Greg? No. So neither one of us are doctors. And if you want to learn more about this journey or adjust your health care, please talk to your doctor to make sure you get the plan that's built just for you. And in the meantime, please also hit that like and subscribe button so it alerts you every time that we publish a video. All right, Greg, well, tell us a little bit about you, man.
Okay. I'm halfway through 65, headed to 66. I live in North Phoenix, Arizona. Happy that we had a really mild summer this year compared to what we had the last couple of years, which allowed me to get out and do some things outside, which I really like to do. I'm not from here, but I've lived here pretty much my whole life. I'm a veteran of the Navy. I spent some time doing that after I went to college. I do have a bachelor's degree, and one thing that bachelor's degree really allows me to do is to be smart enough to do some research and ask a lot of questions. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what got me. That's what kind of what got me here and got me started on this journey.
Makes sense. Well, thank you for your service, first of all. Second, well, let's jump in. So tell me about your weight loss journey, and where did it all start for you?
I was always kind of a chunky kid, and I was probably fine with that. And they used to call me Turtle because I couldn't run very fast. And of course, I played baseball. We do a lot of that in Arizona back in the day because it's pretty easy. But because I could hit the ball a pretty good distance, then that made up for me running slow. So I could hit a infield home run and actually make it to second base. But
Nice.
it was kind of fun. And then when I got into high school, I wasn't very big. I tried to play football. I now, believe it or not, I was too small for that. They had a weight limit on it. So I wrestled instead. And pretty much through high school, I started watching what I was eating. I started, of course, exercising more and whatever. And I actually wrestled at 107 pounds my freshman year. And then my sophomore year, I wrestled at 114. And then when I graduated high school, I only weighed like 135 pounds.
Okay.
Went to college after that, kind of stayed in shape and everything else. And then I went into service back in about 1982. And I can remember when I went in, I weighed 145 pounds, and I'm 5'11". So I was pretty much a rail. 6 months later, I was on leave as I transitioned from one duty station to another. And so I went home. And, I stayed with my grandparents at the time. And my grandfather asked me, he says, "How much do you weigh?" I said, "I don't know." I says, "Why? How much do you think I weigh?" He says, "You probably weigh 190. And I said, "No way." So I got on the scale and I weighed 190. So I didn't even see
pounds in 6 months in the Navy. Man, that
3
Navy
meals a
chow.
day, 4 meals a day in my case, a lot of times, because I went to school from 6 p.m. until midnight. So we ate mid rations with the chow hall. And of course, there they had leftover lunch, leftover supper, which I had already eaten. And they had breakfast, which means the omelet bar was open. So I took advantage of all that stuff. Basically working from 6 p.m. until midnight throws your whole day off. It's, you're sleeping when you're usually doing other stuff. But anyway, I didn't realize I put on that much weight. So I pretty much stayed there for a long time. I didn't really do a whole lot to change. And then one day, I think it was like 1987 or 88, I was looking at myself walking past the mirror and I said, "Oh my God, I got to do something about this." I was up to like 215 pounds. And so there we go. Start restricting your diet, start exercising more. And I got down to like 195, and I was pretty happy. And then I bounced around for a long time between 195 and 205. I separated from the service, came back to Arizona. I was in California that whole time for 15 years. I came back to Arizona, and then I just started packing it on, and I couldn't get away from it. And then somewhere around 2001, I'll never forget this. I went to my doctor, and you and Lorraine talk about this all the time. He said, "Hey, Greg, you're fat. Here's a diet. Okay, we want you to do this." So it was a 2,200 calorie a day diet. It was on 3 pieces of paper, and it was Xeroxed, and it was crooked. Like nobody cared. It wasn't even, it was just like someone got sloppy here. Okay. I don't even know that I made it out the door with that in my hand. It's to get money, hit the garbage can on the way out. So I kind of just hung around that. But then I continued to put on weight, and I got up to almost 270. So, and that was December of 2018. Watching YouTube videos and everything else, I tried keto. So I watched, I did the elimination, I did the whole thing, and I went from 270 in December of 2018 down to 200 by January of 2020. So I walked thousands of miles. I rode my mountain bike. I rode my mountain bike. I ate meat, and I watched the vegetable. I watched the carbohydrates is what I was doing. I didn't eat processed food. I didn't eat sugar. I didn't drink soda pop. I didn't do any of that. Then March 13th, 2020, we all know what happens on Friday the 13th, right? So we were all sent home, and I'm still at home, but we were all sent home. And of course, the kitchen's right there, the refrigerator's right there, the pantry's right there. And so I went from 200, I started gaining some weight back. Then what had happened was I went in to my doctor for just a routine examination, and I thought it was a wart, like on my forehead here. And so they went in and they froze it. Well, it didn't go away. In fact, it got a little bit worse. So I went in and I got into this office conflict over this bill. It's like, no, we did the procedure. It just didn't take. And I said, well, I don't want to pay this bill. It's like, what? Anyway, long story short, I lost confidence. I'll never forget. That was early in the morning on like a Friday. So when I got home, I called a dermatologist. And I got in that day, and she goes, no, that's basal cell carcinoma. We need to take a piece of that and get it analyzed. Come to find out, it wasn't a wart, it was skin cancer. So we got that taken care of. Luckily it was just one shot and it was done. But there was a loss of confidence in my doctor. So I started looking for a new one. And I found one. I made an appointment with her. I went in there, and I was impressed from day one. And what I was impressed about, Christopher, was this. I went in to see the doctor, and I saw the doctor. She was in that room with me the whole time during my appointment. She wasn't bouncing around. There wasn't nurses running in and out to share us things or do anything or whatever else. I sat and I talked to her.
Yeah.
And the bottom line, what came out of that is she's just like, Greg, we need to do something about your weight. I was taking 10 milligrams of Lisinopril at the time for my high blood pressure. That was the only real medication I was on. And so I was probably at about 225 pounds. And this is probably late 2020. So over the next couple of years, I continued to put on weight. And it's in my chart, obese.
Oh yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's a little disheartening when you look at that. So what happened? And I think it was, so I started understanding, watching YouTube channels, and I started hearing about these GLP-1s, this Ozempic, this Wegovy and everything else. But of course, there was the shortages of what most people were complaining about. They weren't able to get their pens or do this. So I started investigating it. And then it was probably the summer of 2024. And so I called my insurance company and they said, yeah, you know, it will support that, you know, and your copay is like $50 a month.
Hey, there
I
you go.
thought,
You win the lottery, man.
that's what they tell you. That's
Oh no.
that's the end of the truth. Okay. So I went to my doctor and she said, fantastic. She goes, I'll do my part. She had to do something and send some stuff to the insurance company. And she did, and we got rejected. And they go, the only way that we're going to prove this is if you go through our dietary counseling and our weight loss program
Yeah,
first.
a lot of them have hoops to jump through. Yeah, because they don't
Yeah,
really want you to do it.
you understand. So I signed up for it, whatever else. And when I was going through it, it looked like it was going to be a partnership. They were going to help me. They were going to provide me this stuff. And they didn't. Makes sense, I guess. They just don't want to write the checks. It is what it is. It was on your channel, and I think Lorraine, you and Lorraine were talking about these vials possibly coming out. You know, it was a good idea. Can they do this? Will it lower the cost? Will it increase availability for people like myself?
Mhm.
So finally, I think it was on one of your episodes that he said they're out. So I went to the Lilly site and I messed around with it. And I saw they had two. They had the 2.5 and they had the 5 that were out. So on February 3rd, I had an appointment with my doctor again. We talked about it. We went through the Lilly website together. I'm her patient 0. Okay. She had seen other people when she's doing like backup work for other patients when other doctors are gone, but she never had one of her own. So we went through this whole thing very slowly. So on the 3rd, she did the prescription. Lily, it's very simple. I get a text message, I respond, I take care of it. So I did that. And I actually took my first injection on the 10th of February of this year. I
Okay.
started my diet in February. I knew what I thought I had to do. And the first thing I had to do was clean out my pantry and clean out my refrigerator. I need to get rid of all the stuff that I really, really like that doesn't like me. So I did that. And then from there, it was just been shots weekly. I give them to myself in the same place. It's always either left or right side of my abdomen. I started out at 244 pounds. You know, it was a little disheartening, I think. But, you know, at first it's like, I'm not losing any weight. You know, when's this thing going to work? You watch all these YouTube videos and you see all these people losing 20 pounds in the first month and whatever else. And I'm struggling to just get the scale to go to the next number. But after, you know, looking at this whole thing is one commitment I made to myself is like, there's a journal app on my phone. And every day I go in and how did I sleep? What did I eat? Did I do any exercise, any extracurricular activities? How do I feel mentally, physically, emotionally, so on and so forth? And I kept this journal. I still keep it every day. So I kept this journal, but I never really analyzed what was going on. It's just day to day to day to day. And when I would go see my doctor, I see her every 3 months. Like I said, I'm patient 0. When I go in there, I just hand her my phone and open the app and she can just scroll through it and look. Well, in the meantime, before I started on this whole journey, we'd increased my high blood pressure medicine to 20 milligrams because it was getting all out of control. So in February, I had actually lost 11 pounds in that month. It just didn't feel like it. It felt like I was struggling and
Yeah, well,
everything
sometimes I
else.
tell people they have to zoom out a little bit and not look day to day, look week to week, month to month.
Yeah, but I didn't realize that until I was putting some stuff together for this call. And, you know, I just look at it and go, well, you know, I've lost X amount of weight, that's X amount of pounds a month. And when I look at this, it's like the reality setting in and go, it's not true. But so anyway, I lost 11 pounds my first month and I didn't think that I had. So I went from 2.5 The next month I went to 5. When I took that first shot of 5, it it, it, it was different. I felt different. It treated me different. And
Everybody
it was like,
reacts
okay,
differently. We tell them that all the time, and they're like, and then all of a sudden, whatever dose hits you, and you're like, oh, wait a second, that's a new thing.
yeah, yeah. And it was more interesting because people talk about food noise, and I'll talk a little more about that because it's been suppressed, but it doesn't go away from me. So on 5 milligrams, my second month, I had only lost 5 pounds. So I went from 5 to 7.5. In the meantime, I'm just staying in touch with my doctor, and she said, okay, all right, let's go ahead and do this. So my first month on the 7.5, I lost 12.2 pounds,
Okay.
which it's a lot. I mean, it was a lot. My blood pressure became a problem for a good reason. And what I mean by that is I was on the 20 milligrams of lisinopril. After I had lost roughly 25 pounds, she dropped it back down to 10.
Were you
So
getting dizzy?
no, what had happened is she took my blood pressure and she goes, this was going the right way. She goes, this is good. She goes, but I need you to buy a blood pressure cuff and I need you to take it daily. And I need you to send me a report every week of what happened. So I started doing that. And so my typical blood pressure on 20 milligrams would be like 120 over 80. Then it went to 96 over 72. And that's when she pushed it down to 10. So I did that for about another 2 weeks because then it started dropping down into like 90 over 60, 85 over 60. And she goes, stop. She goes, stop it.
That's
She goes,
too
just
low.
keep what you
Let's
got.
get you back up. Yeah.
Yeah. And in case it comes back, she goes, just do it. And it never has come back. So one of the things is, for me is monitoring my blood pressure. I don't do it daily anymore, but I probably do it 3 times a week just to check, make sure that
Yeah,
it's
I
good.
do
And
as
even
well. And
now, it's just having,
I have a digital cuff that will actually send the data to the my chart.
oh, see,
Yeah, it's
mine,
nice.
I keep it on my journal
Yeah.
and then I go back and look at it. Then I send it to her on my chart to do that. But it started going the other way. And she's like, no, we're going to get up, but hang on to them just in case, you know. And then we talked about which number I needed to pay attention to and what it needs to look like. And I've never come close. So I've never come close to those again. So, at the end of 20 weeks, I had already lost 40.8 pounds. And that's when I started noticing things were different. I got a little jawline, you know, clothes look a little bit different, feel different. Some other things, it was just, it was good. It was a good experience. Then in July, I lost 15 pounds. As I titrated up to 10 milligrams, and I stayed on 10 milligrams for 2 months. And then I went to 12, to 12.5, and I continued to lose like 3.5 to 6 pounds a month on that. So this morning when I weighed in, so I started at 244. This morning when I weighed in, I was at 161.3. So I'd lost 82.6 pounds,
Well, that's amazing.
34% of my starting weight.
It's amazing. So you're 5'11". How old are you?
65. My birthday's in May, so I turned 65 in May. I turned 66 this May.
Yeah, 5'11", 65, and you've lost 35% of your body weight. That's good. And it sounds like, even though it felt like a slow start to begin with, you were either clearly in the average of what we would expect, or on the high or above the average.
Yeah, but honestly, Christopher, it didn't feel like it.
I know. It never does.
But you're living the daily struggle, right? You're
Mhm.
living the daily. You're looking at the numbers. Things aren't going with the way they are. People are being cheerleaders for you. If it wasn't for that, it was like, it's like, that's fine. That's why your body's going to have to get used to all this stuff, And then there was getting used to other things while you're on the medication. For example, the biggest one is eating. So I'm a fan of OMAD. I eat one meal a day generally. And I pack it all in over maybe however long it takes to eat. It could take an hour or whatever else. But I've made mistakes. And I'll give you an example. Maybe on a Friday, I might go out for dinner for something. I can remember one time I had a light lunch and then I went out for dinner and I overate. And of course, that I was miserable. I felt like a dog that ate too much. I mean, that was bad.
Yeah.
It was so, now I learned my lesson the second time I did that, to slow down when I initially eat, make sure I eat my food. And then when you feel full, don't eat those extra 2 bites. In my case, don't eat those extra 2 bites because
Oh no, those extra 2 bites can sit with you for a long time.
they push me over the edge. It's like,
Yeah.
boom, it was kind of crazy. It was kind of crazy. So I'm on the 15 milligram now. I just started that a month ago. So tomorrow I take my shots on Tuesdays. Tomorrow will be my final first round of the 15.
And you're doing okay on that. How are the side effects?
So I do a protein first intake, the chicken, the fish, the beef, whatever, the pork, whatever first. So I generally eat, and then if I get full, or if I don't get full, then I'll have some vegetables. Generally, I love broccolini. I love asparagus for some reason.
Lots of good fiber and vitamins there. That's a good thing.
Avocado from time to time, so on and so forth. But I do have some going to the bathroom problems once in a while.
Yeah.
I won't call it constipation to where it's painful, but it's like I track everything on my app that I go to the bathroom that day. And if I didn't, then I think I worry more than just letting the cycle just go by itself. But that's been probably one of the only ones. And then of course, losing the weight and then reducing my blood pressure, I could tell that it was going down as well. So the only side effect I really had, I had some nausea, but I think it was more because of what I ate than the medication. Because if I eliminate the meal that didn't make me feel well, I didn't feel bad when I ate some other things. So the
Yeah,
nausea
a
and
lot
a
of
little
people,
bit of
a lot of people,
constipation.
it'll be like fried foods or alcohol, or there's just
I
things.
don't drink. I don't smoke. I'm
Yeah.
pretty vanilla. I'm just a plain guy. Yeah, I'm just a plain guy. So, but yeah, the overeating, of course, that was a side effect that I didn't realize was going to do what it did. Constipation from time to time, low blood pressure. I mean, another side effect, I think it's a positive one, is your clothes don't fit.
Absolutely. You know what? That seems like a good place to share your pictures here.
Okay.
Hey, look at there.
Oh,
Who's that guy?
More people know the guy on the left than they know the guy on the right. That picture is actually an older picture. That is December of 2018, where I was at my heaviest. I'm at about 270 pounds there. And on the right side, I'm probably at 175. Same shirt today.
Yeah, there you go.
Limited closet space there, but I mean, I have more closet space now since I don't have any clothes. I had to go out and do some shopping, but yeah, that was pretty amazing. Some people on my team asked me, okay, the one in the middle there, that's at roughly 200 pounds. That is May of this year. And the one on the right is probably, we're in November, mid-October of this year.
Yeah, I mean, you can clearly see the jawline and the neck, and yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, so that's me and my cousin. We're going to go ride this mountain bike race up in Lakeside, High Top, Arizona. And that is the first Saturday in October of 2024. The picture on the right is February 4th of 2025. So that's my first shot of me beginning the journey.
Wow.
So I'm out in the desert going to mountain bike. Okay. So this is what happens when you know you're going somewhere and it's going to be cold. This is the first Saturday of October this year. I threw some stuff in a bag. I was going up for another mountain bike race, the one that you saw with the red shirt. And I didn't try any of my clothes on. I just threw them in the bag. And when I put this on, I said, I can't wear it. I can't. It's like 44 degrees up there. It's freezing cold. And I can't wear the warmest piece of clothes I got. It's just too big. So I had a couple of t-shirts. I had a windbreaker. That's what I wrote in. But that's a shirt that I would wear pretty much in the fall and winter. And it fit.
Yeah, that's a big change. So have you gotten rid of any of your old clothes?
All of them. I have them.
How was
I have them
that?
sitting,
How'd that feel?
I have them sitting in bags. I have bottoms in some bags, and I have tops in other bags in my closet.
Mhm.
And then I went to some local stores here. And so I bought new pants, new shorts, new shirts. I mean, I don't, extra or extra large was the call of the day. I don't remember last time I wore a shirt that was a medium. My waist, my pants size went from 38 snug to 34 loose. I can
Right.
actually look down and see my belt buckle. So
It's
and I don't
it's those
remember.
non-scale victories, man. It is. Well, how is riding a bike now, though? Basically,
So that
pretty much.
presents its own problem. So I love to mountain bike. I do 40, 45 plus miles a week. You know, I walk in the morning. I go to the gym every day, but I'll talk about that here in a minute. So on a mountain bike, I have front and rear suspension. And now that thing's all messed up because it's set up for somebody who weighs 250 pounds, not for somebody who weighs is what I weigh now. So I kept having to mess around with that. But I don't get as tired as fast. I can ride farther, longer, and faster than I could before. And that's just exciting on its own. That's just it allows me to do more things, not carrying around this. I mean, think about it. 80 pounds is a fifth grader.
It's 2 bags of concrete. Yeah.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go. And, you know, I don't want to carry 2 bags of concrete.
No.
I went and picked up a 50-pound bag of salt for my water softener. I'm like, I lost more than this. This is heavy.
Yeah. So you had to adjust the suspension on your bike. Does it gear differently now? Did you have to learn how to shift gear a little differently too?
No. I mean, it pretty much stay in the same gear ratio.
Right.
It's just that I can climb faster and not be as tired. I can ride longer, which is enjoyable to me. You know, and here's another thing is I would go ride one of these 21, 22-mile loops and climb 2,000 something feet, and I'd be shot for a couple of days. Now I go Saturday, Sunday. I try to go during the week. Living in Arizona, it's hard in the summer to ride, but now it's absolutely gorgeous. So I can get out, you know, in the afternoon after work. I get off at 3:30 in the afternoon. If I wanted to go do a quick 14 or whatever miles from my house, I could just get out and go. Where I would be exhausted, I would be in pain, and I don't have that anymore.
That's exciting, man. I mean, it's, you know, we talk about going on cruises a lot, you know that. And, you know, I mean, I think on the last cruise, we regularly would do 13, 14 flights up.
Yeah.
And no big deal, right? Just kind of.
I can remember climbing a flight of stairs and having to stop on the landing.
Yeah.
And go and mentally just going, why? What happened? How did you get that? How did you get this far? You know, how are you going to fix this?
So you talked about going to the gym. What do you do?
So I go to the gym every day. but I only go to the gym every day because the hardest part of going to the gym is making it to the end of my driveway. Once I get to the end of the driveway, it's all over. So I'm the guy who uses ChatGPT for a lot of things. And so I have my workouts scheduled on there and what I do daily. Even if I don't work out, I still go. I still dress out. I'll sit in the sauna. Or the steam sauna. I'll start off in the spa and then I'll do a cold plunge for 5 minutes. Then I'll go sit in the steam sauna, get cleaned up and come back home. On the other days, I have, a chest day, a back day, an arm day, a leg day, so on and so forth. It has taken me a long time just to add reps and to add weight and to add different exercises. So to think about it, I've only been doing that since about June. So, I took it slow. I was in pain for a few days, of course, because I hadn't exercised or moved those muscles in a while. And so, I'm getting better at that and everything else. I didn't lose 80 pounds and gain 80 pounds of strength. So if I could bench press 135 when I was heavy, I can't do 135 plus 80. So it's still probably the same. I know you
And I
were
think
talking about.
that's okay. I mean, and talking to doctors. So while everybody talks about lifting, that's certainly something that they'll tell you. The work that you're doing on that mountain bike is real work too.
Yes, that's a full body exercise.
Right? So you're putting, and I love the activity piece of that. I'm all about that. But it's helping, and it's the flexibility and the agility and all those things that keep you upright and keep you moving are also valuable.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and to me, that's enjoyable. It's like, what are you going to do this week? I'm going to go ride my bike. How far? 27 miles? I don't know. I'm sleeping.
I mean, think about it. It's all core in the middle too. Although, yeah, you're pushing, you're also balancing, right? It's all.
It takes a lot to keep the rubber down and the people up. But to me, it's absolutely fun. I raced motorcycles when I was in high school, motocross and stuff, and this is as fun as that. As fun as that. You don't go as fast, it doesn't cost as much, you don't get hurt as bad, but it's the exercise part of it. I get done. I know I worked out. I hopped and popped and I did all this other stuff, and it's fun.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Talk to me about what you eat.
Okay, so most of the time I try to do OMAD, one meal a day. So I fast for 20 hours and I have a 4-hour feeding window. Do I take the full 4 hours? Sometimes, but more than likely I'm just going to prep everything, and so I'm just going to start at the left and go to the right and clean everything out. But I try to eat the meat first. I try to eat the protein first to make sure I'm trying to get all that taken in. Then after that, I'll eat some vegetables and whatever. I'm not totally restrictive of processed food. I'll make a sandwich and I'll have bread with that sandwich.
So you're not still doing keto either?
From time to time, I enjoy donut, but it's a donut.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
Yeah. I enjoy key lime pie, or especially with the key lime cheesecake. Yeah, it calls my name from time to time. So I do enjoy some of the other stuff. Generally, during the week for dessert, I'll have a couple of mandarin oranges. They've been pretty good here lately. Peanut M&Ms, I'm still a fan.
Yeah,
I eat. Yeah, I eat a few peanut M&Ms in a bag, so on and so forth. But I think I eat normal. I love seafood, so I love oysters. I'll go have oysters, once a week, and maybe some sushi or some other type of fish for that to keep things kind of balanced out.
So are you still working? Or are you retired?
No, I'm working. I'm hoping to make that adjustment early next year.
So how
I work for a university. I sit all day.
So how have your colleagues and your friends reacted to the weight loss?
Everyone's inspired. everyone's inspired. And there's been another person at work take this journey. He started in May, where I started in February. He's doing well. There's a couple other people that are doing some different type of stuff. I actually meet on Friday mornings with a couple of people. We just have a short Teams meeting, just to check in. They asked for it. And basically, it's a buddy system. It's like, this is what you said you were going to do this week. How did you do? And we keep each other accountable and honest, and enjoy it. But there's been people, I shaved my mustache off because somebody said, "What do you look like without it?" And people came back and said, "Oh my God, you're 10 years younger." And I says, "Okay." But I sent my pictures to some other people that I haven't seen in a long time. And I go, "Hey, do you remember this guy when you were in the neighborhood?" "No, who is he?" And they're just in shock. They're just amazed, but everyone's been supportive.
That's awesome.
Everybody knows that what I'm doing, that they know that I take the injections, and and so we discussed the cost of that, and how I got from where I was to being able to do some of this stuff. I was slocking money away in my HSA because I knew I was going to need it someday when I had that heart attack. Now, I
Maybe
wanted to do
we can
something
avoid the
different.
heart attack with this.
Well, my weight keeps going up and going up. The stress on it, the probability is higher, and I didn't. And I kind of want to be around a little bit. I want to enjoy some of retirement. So
That's a good plan, man.
I used some HSA money. I plotted all that stuff out to do that. I had a habit of going to Starbucks every day, and having one of them 550, 600 calorie coffees.
And then, they're like, I can be like $7-8 a day. That's a lot of money every month.
That pays for my gym membership because I don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. So there was a swap. Okay. For that. I don't buy, I bet my food bill's probably half of what it used to be. So that helps support some of the, the $504 or whatever I pay for Zepbound.
And you're still doing Lily Direct?
Yes. Yeah. It's just so easy for me. I'm the guy that is stone cold death, or death
What's wrong
of
with that,
giving
man?
up needles. Oh, needle. I can remember. I was probably 14 years old, and back then doctors still made house calls. So I needed a measles shot, mumps. I needed a mumps shot. I locked myself in my room. I was afraid of the needle. And here I am every week poking myself. And sometimes it doesn't hurt. Sometimes, it gives me a little sting, but you know what? At the end of the day, it's only for a minute, and I survived.
Yeah, one of our viewers who's a type 2 diabetic says she kind of skims the needle across her stomach. And if she can feel it where she skims it, she moves the spot. Because if you can feel the needle, that's where it's going to hurt. Now, does that really work? I have no idea, but it doesn't cost anything.
I'm not gonna try dragging that deal.
It's just a little
bit, and I just stick it in and go, "Oh, okay, this could be an easy day."
Yes. You never know, you're going to wake up one day and do 30, 50 shots and just kind of, who knew?
Yeah. I'm so happy that I started this, and I'm so happy that, I know that it's a huge expense, and for a lot of people, including me, but I got to think, how much did I spend to put all that weight on? How could I afford to put all that weight on? Because I had to buy stuff to put in to eat and drink.
I think we do it, $5 at a time or something, so we don't ever notice the slow bleed. But it's still a lot of money.
It is, and I've been very patient. I was frustrated. Don't get me wrong, back in February, but I'm thinking too, and I know a lot of people that do this, is I didn't put it on in one day. It ain't coming off in one day. In fact, I am surprised at how fast it came off.
So
I'm absolutely
you
surprised.
are you at your goal, or are you close to your goal, or where are you at?
Yeah, no, great question. My original goal was 170. And it was just, can I get there? But everything under 190, I don't remember because I never stepped on a scale between 145 and 190. So that's all new territory for me. So I got to 170, probably first part of September, no, probably into September. I was at 174 around the 8th or 9th of September. So towards the end of September, I was at 170. And then I thought, I still had a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. I thought, well, let's see if I can get to 160 and then I'll reassess then. I have a doctor's appointment this Friday, being close to 160. I'm at 161 and some change now. It's probably doable. I don't know, but I'll sit down with her and we'll talk about it and see what we got going on.
How are you feeling?
I feel great. I feel great. When I was doing keto, I had a sleep problem, and that is a side effect of keto. I still rarely sleep all night. So if I can get 4 to 6 hours, because I wake up and now I have all this energy. Problem is I don't want to get up and go, work on a project or anything. So I'll have a split in there. And so, when talking with her, we're trying to work through how to get, a straight 7 or a straight 8 with that, with, maybe some adjustments in my diet. I take a couple of vitamins. I take D3 and I take K2. I've had some problems with solar purpura. You see those red spots on older people like me on their arms? They look like this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So that's just from UV light shine. I've been in Arizona my whole life. You wear short sleeve shirts if you wear a shirt at all. So, the sun doesn't, the change in, plus I've lost all the fat. So if I nick myself or whatever, strike myself on something, riding your mountain bike and the cactus hits you, the shrubs or whatever, it gives you that bruising. And the K2 is what's suggested to do that. So when I went into ChatGPT, I explained what was going on. It knows what my diet is. It knows what medication I'm on. It knows what my journey is. And it's the first thing it tried to do was to get me to adjust my diet. And I said, no, next plan. And it said, try this vitamin. And when I did, it helped substantially. So I went to Costco, bought the K2, and I just take it daily. From a medical standpoint, I've hurt myself. I don't just drink water. I put additives in the water. And one of the additives I put in was a multivitamin. It was high in potassium. And we had one of my blood tests came back and it was really high for hyperkalemia, which is an overabundance of potassium in your kidneys. So my doctor goes, that was on a Friday. My doctor said, you can come in Monday. We're going to do this blood test again. So I looked at this stuff I put in there and the potassium was a high number, so I didn't have any more. I went in Monday and my blood test was normal. So,
I tell people all the time, and I see them, particularly on Facebook, they love to post like pictures of 12 bottles of things they're taking. And I'm like, I don't know whether you should be taking those things or not, but please get some blood work done and talk to your doctor.
Yeah, man, I tell you. And then I had a high D3 and she's like, amen. She goes, that's going to help with your respiratory stuff and whatever else that you've been, worried about and fighting. So let's stay there. I had another thing. She told me one time, she says, you need to eat more. I says, you don't understand, man. I feel stuffed when I get done eating and I'm not hungry for a while. So then we talked about what I was eating and then I readjusted the order to put the protein first for that. So, like I said, I meet with her and I can't tell you, Christopher, how much of a blessing she is. I meet with her and only her. She's in there the whole time. She knows my story. She knows what's going on. She's a doctor. And, she's a cheerleader.
This is, I mean, I tell people all the time, and they get mad at me sometimes because I'm like, if you don't have a doctor who sits down, looks you in the eye, and talks to you, you need to find a new doctor.
Amen.
And
I,
I'm
I
not
wouldn't
saying
have,
that's easy, right? It's not easy. It takes work,
yeah.
but it's worth it.
Yeah. Well, I know some people, they go, well, I love my doctor. I go, when's the last time your doctor told you the truth?
That's all I need from the doctor, honestly.
That's not,
And
that's
my
not what I'm
doctor
asking
wasn't
for.
that dissimilar than yours. I wasn't their first patient on this, but I was probably their in the first dozen people they had treated. So he was like, yeah, I think you should. He had been trying to get me to do it, but I mean, we kind of learned together, which is fine if they're honest, right? Okay, it is what it is, but it worked. So, and he listens,
Yeah.
which I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, it, I mean, I get excited about a few things. One of them is the doctor's appointment. Okay. Her and I have this kind of cool relationship. So I go on Friday mornings and I take the whole day off. And after I have my doctor's appointment, then I go ride my bike. So I get a 2-for-1. Um, Probably, I think it might have been February. We were talking about something, and she goes, well, do you do anything special for yourself on Fridays? And I said, no, not really. I go, why? Do you? She goes, yeah, I treat myself to this coffee from Starbucks. And I go, well, where is it? And she goes, oh, no, it's in my office. I says, well, why? She goes, well, I can't drink it here in front of you. And I says, I insist. So she got up and she's all excited. She ran her off, came back, and she's drinking it. Every time I go, I'm like, where's your coffee? And I go, she goes, I can go get it. I says, understand this. You see my name and you come in for an appointment. I go, bring your coffee with you so I don't have to remind you and make you feel a little better. But, it's just these little things. And, you know, uh, I've been totally honest with her. I told her about, everything. And, she's like, okay, well, let's see what we can do together. And this partnership has been unreal.
That's a good thing, man. Everybody should have that. So, well, very good. Well, so do you have any regrets about this?
Probably, no, I don't think I have any regrets. I think there is some stuff that I wish I would have known and didn't, like the overeating. I probably wish I would have um, paid more attention to getting started and maybe add a few more things set up, like having a journal set up, maybe already having a high blood pressure cuff so that we could do some stuff like that. Um, Taking exercise maybe a little earlier. Um, so basically from February to maybe May, I didn't do a lot, I just rode my bike. From May until probably the beginning of October, I got up at 4:30 every morning and I walked 3.5 miles.
That's a commitment.
Well, I haven't done it in a while, but it's, and I wish I would have kept doing that after, when I was sent home from COVID. The rearview mirror is always clear. I guess we can understand that. The windshield's always covered with bugs. But overall, I have no regrets
That is awesome, man. Well,
whatsoever.
congratulations.
I would do this again tomorrow.
Yeah, me too. Well, congratulations on your journey, man. We appreciate you sharing your story.
Thank you very much, Christopher. I appreciate you and Lorraine keeping us up to speed. My concern now is probably the same as everybody else is, what does the future hold for something, like a pill or something that we could take just for maintenance. Maybe the injectable's the best to get started. I don't know. Like I said, my degree level is high enough just to ask questions.
Yeah, I don't think any of us know, honestly. So we're all going to learn together. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't want it back.
No,
That's for sure. So we'll go from there.
well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you joining us. All right, so that is our interview today. If you'd like to join us for an interview, we actually just launched a Downsized Dish application form on our website, on downsized.org, so you can go fill out the application. Basically, we're just getting a lot, so I needed a better method to manage everything. So go do that, fill it out, and we'll get back in touch with you and get you scheduled and have you come on and do an interview. While you're there, sign up for our email list, and we would love to have you be a part of the Downsize. Well, thank you, Greg. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you very much. And thank you and Lorraine for all you do for the community. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, sir. All right. My name is Christopher Durham, and we are the Downsized.